I got hired to do the fight scenes for a musical, and I learned something stupid. I'm gonna come at you with a bit of a weird take here. I think I'm gonna convince you that the hardest fights to choreograph are the ones from musical theater. Yeah, you heard me. And if you didn't, hit the J key on your keyboard, it skips back 10 seconds. The more you know. Look, musicals have this weird thing, and if you've seen a bunch of them, you've probably noticed you can watch a production of West Side Story in one town, and the very next day go see a different production in another city, and the fight scenes will be almost identical. It's bizarre. How are they always identical? I used to think that that was because a director had seen a previous production, saw the fight, and decided to do the same thing because they were just being lazy and thought, that one worked, that's what the fight's supposed to be like, I'll do that. They didn't want to pay attention to the details of fight scenes. They didn't really care. The songs and dance numbers, that's what it was all about. But then I got hired to do the fight scenes for a musical, and I learned something stupid. It's not that they don't care about the details, it's that there's overkill of the details for the fight choreography. West Side Story is just a musical remake of Romeo and Juliet. So let's compare the stage directions in the scripts for Romeo and Juliet and West Side Story. Romeo and Juliet, this shall determine that they fight. Tybalt falls. No set time, no set number of moves, no suggestions, there's nothing. You can take 10 minutes to do that fight scene, or you can do it in 10 seconds. Whatever, they fight, Tybalt falls. That's it. That's the stage direction. And here is the single longest fight scene note Shakespeare ever wrote. Tybalt, under Romeo's arm, stabs Mercutio and flies with his followers. That one line is it. Now let's have a look at the same fight scene in West Side Story. The Rumble. All right, we got a bit of stage direction here. Oh my God, we got a whole bunch of stage direction. He never finishes for Riff hauls off and hits him. Immediately the two gangs alert and the action goes into dance form. As Bernardo reels back to his feet, he reaches for his back pocket. Riff reaches for his back pocket. And at the same instant, each brings forth a gleaming knife. God help you if you have a knife that's not gleaming. They jockey for positions, feinting, dueling. The two gangs shift positions now and again, temporarily obscuring the fighters. Tony tries to get between them. I'm glad we're done with that and we finally get to the lines. All right, what's the actor get to say here? Hold him. All right, and then, oh my God, the stage directions. Diesel and Action grab Tony and hold him back. The fight continues. Riff loses his knife, is passed another by a jet. At last, he has Bernardo in a position where it seems that he will be able to run him through. Tony breaks from Diesel and moves to stop Riff, crying. Oh, and we get a line. Riff, don't. And some stage direction. Oh my God, oh my God. You know why you get this much stage direction? This is not a martial artist trying to write a play. This is a playwright trying to write an entire fight scene, not realizing that there are people out there who are better at choreographing fight scenes than them. You're a playwright. If somebody's gonna do a flip, you don't have to write every detail of how to do a flip. Just write they do a flip, and somebody who knows how to do a flip better than you do will come do it. Riff hesitates a moment. The moment is enough for Bernardo, who his hand goes forward with a driving motion, running his knife into Riff. Tony leaps forward to catch Riff. He breaks his fall, then takes the knife from his hand. A free-for-all has broken out as Tony, Riff's knife in hand, leaps at the triumphant Bernardo. All this happens terribly fast, and Tony runs his knife into Bernardo. The free-for-all continues a moment longer, then a sharp police whistle. Everything comes to a dead stop. Dead silence. Then a distant police siren. The kids waver, run one way, another, panic, confusion. As the stage is cleared, Tony stands horrified over the still bodies of Riff and Bernardo. He bends over Riff's body, then he rolls over Bernardo's body and stares. Oh, and an actor gets a line. Maria! Oh God, more stage direction. Oh my goodness, stage directions. Another police whistle. Blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. Oh my God. There's too much. There's too much. Just the only important parts of all of that stage direction were the parts that Shakespeare made sure to write. Tybalt, under Romeo's arm, stabs Mercutio. That's it. That's all you need. And here's what I bet you're thinking. Screw all the stage direction, just choreograph a fight the way you want to. It's still just laziness for a musical to follow the stage directions to a T, right? It's not difficult to do something different unless something dumb happens, like the stage directions are paired up and written into the sheet music. Oh my god, here we go. The sheet music to go along with the fight scene. Riff hits Bernardo, then the music starts. Alright, so that hit can kind of happen whenever. Pure freedom. But then on this exact note, Riff and Bernardo open knives. There's not a whole area selected here. It is very specific about which note. Bernardo tosses his knife here. At this exact moment, Riff has to say his line, "Keep out of this." And the Jets must be advancing on this exact note. Then we get some notes, and right here, Tony has to say, "Riff, don't." Bernardo kills Riff right here. And then Riff falls, right? Like the actor can just fall in some kind of way that's creative. No, he's got to fall right here. Riff falls towards Tony on this note, and there's a short pause, and Tony takes the knife from his hand. The actor who gets stabbed can't even fall in their own time. They have to fall on a very specific beat. All right, but then essentially like Romeo and Tybalt can have like a cool fight, right? They can do their own thing. No, you've only got this many bars of music before the fight has to be over. Tony has to kill Bernardo here. So you can try doing your own thing that's different than the stage directions, but you do not have a lot of time to do it, and you better choreograph something that fits into that amount of time. Oh, the sirens go off right here, and we got all this, and then the gangs disperse and panic. Oh, good, you'd need to know when the panic and confusion happens. That's got to be written into the sheet music, right? Otherwise, they might be confused first and then panic. The mistakes you would make if there wasn't this kind of high detail overkill. And something you probably didn't consider is that this means you've got a time limit on how long it can take for everybody to be completely off the stage. So that means part of choreographing this fight is choreographing who exits where and when, so that there's no bottleneck and everybody gets off in time for this moment in the sheet music. Talk about overkill. So it's not that directors are just being lazy and going with the stage directions instead of ignoring it and coming up with something original. It's that the precision of having all of those very specific events happen at the very specific beats in the sheet music means, yes, you can choreograph something different in between those specific events that are in the script, assuming you want to stick to those. Like the stabbing is pretty important, but the other stuff, like who hits whom when, who cares? Be creative. But even if you are creative about that, you have a very specific time limit on every one of those exchanges. And in a movie, they can cut it and edit it so that the timing syncs up and it works great. On stage, no, you've got to be exactly right. You've got to have the precision. And in Romeo and Juliet, doing a fight scene for that show, you can take time. You can be off by a second here and a second there. If somebody drops a sword or something like that, they can pick it up and nothing's really hurt. If somebody stumbles, whatever, you can take a bit of time, or you can end a little early. It doesn't matter. But man, you cannot do that in a musical. Musicals are the most strict kind of fight scene you will ever choreograph. And that is why they all seem the same from one production to another. They're hard to do, and when you're already directing acting and singing and dancing and a band playing music, it's kind of nice for the director to see that there's a shitload of stage directions that they can just lean back and say, all right, we're doing this. This is what's written. Unless you hire a fight choreographer and get something cool. But if you're a director, oh my god, you better listen to me. All of this stage direction and stuff written into the sheet music is because of a playwright who doesn't seem to understand that there are people out there who do fight choreography who are better than they are at fight scenes. So yeah, don't take on directing a fight scene on top of everything else in the musical. Hire a fight choreographer. Musical fight scenes are always the same, but they don't have to be.